Okay, Moonnet. I figured you had enough text responses. I'll give you a video response. How's that? Anyway, I just saw your video about the justice system, and you're right. The thing is that I don't think it would be so hard for them to clean up the justice system if they could just get a handle on it. You know, instead of making people pay for the rest of their natural born lives, once they get out of jail, once they get out of prison, you know, not making it hard or practically impossible to be getting that job. I mean, how are you supposed to make an honest living if they make it impossible for you to literally make an honest living? You can't own your own business. Hardly anyone, if anyone, is going to hire you. So if you're forced to get a crap job that pays crap, and lucky to get that, well then you would go back to what you know, and that is getting money to support you and survive and your family by doing something that's going to land your ass right back in jail, or prison, excuse me. And hence, it's a vicious cycle, as the band played on. The thing is, first of all, we need to give the sentences that are mandatory. And second of all, we need for people to be serving those sentences. You shouldn't be a mathematician to figure out what your sentence is. If you're sentenced to 20 years, you should go to prison for 20 years. If that is too harsh, without parole, or without time served, without good behavior, then they need to rethink the sentencing structure. But if you are sentenced for 20 years, then you should be in there not one day shorter than 20 years, and certainly not one day longer than 20 years. If you are sentenced for 5 years, then you're in there for 5 years. If your sentence is for 1 week, then you're in there for 1 week. None of this bullshit about being sentenced for 20 years and serving 5. Being sentenced for 5 years and serving a year because of all the technical BS. You know, if you can be trusted and if you're not a flight risk, you need to be staying at home. And if you're an asshole and they can't trust you and you're a flight risk, well then, previous behavior means that you don't get treated nearly as well, and that time that you serve waiting your trial or during your trial is just cheese on the cake. It's just that much more. If you weren't such an asshole to begin with, we wouldn't have to have a reason not to trust you, and we wouldn't have a reason for you to be a flight risk. But the thing is that, yeah, that's tough and all, but no, not really. Actually, it's a lot more humane, because when you get out, you're out. You don't have to worry about someone trusting you to hire you. You don't have to worry about never being able to own your own business, not being able to vote, not being able to do all kinds of things. When you're out, you're free. You've paid your time. Nobody should even know that you have a record. Now, of course, for certain things like child molesters and things like that, I'm sure that we can think up something. And yeah, there's got to be something for that, because nobody wants a child molester in a neighborhood full of children next to several schools. That brings up another point, though. I just don't get people who find out that there may be a child molester, not even a rapist, just a child molester that's living next to them, and they say, oh no, not here, not in this neighborhood. Well, I can understand that if it's a neighborhood full of children and if there's several schools around or a school around, you know, why tempt the child with candy? But if you're in a neighborhood full of retired citizens or older people where kids aren't known to be, people gotta live too. If their crime is child molestation and there are no children or schools in your area, well, what the hell do you care? He's gotta live somewhere. If you really don't trust him, keep an eye on him. But, you need to let people live. I mean, I know people say, well, anywhere but next to me. Well, who died and made you God? You're not so perfect, and I can think of probably several crimes that you've committed that you just haven't been caught doing yet. Did you speed to work today? Did you run that red light? I know you say, well, that's not like child molestation. Well, it all depends. How fast were you going over the speed limit? It could be a felony. Hmm. But we need to stop and think. The point is that we need to make people serve out the sentences that they're given. None of these special mathematics for time served and good behavior and and parole. You're sentenced, you serve. When you're out, clean slate. I know you guys probably think I'm a little nuts, but I don't see anything wrong with that. Makes it a lot less confusing and a lot more fair. Blessed be.